It's a pleasure to be here. My name is Tim Siegel. I was the tennis coach at Texas Tech for 23 years. Prior to that, I was an Arkansas Razorback and played professional tennis. Coaching was amazing. Loved every bit of it. But I loved more my family. I have 4 children. My daughter Alex, my daughter Kate, daughter Ellie, and my son Luke. I coached from 1993 until 2015. July 8th, 2015, I made the decision to resign from Texas Tech because I wanted to spend more time with my family. Recruiting, the pressures of traveling, I wanted to be around my children. My son Luke at the time was 9 years old. 20 days later, I was now the middle school and the high school tennis coach. I got a phone call at 2 o'clock that afternoon that my son Luke was in a golf cart accident. I asked how bad it was. I was told by the man on the other side of the phone, I think he broke his nose. I went to the scene of the accident. The ambulance was just taking off, and the helicopter was hovering above. The fireman said, "Get to the hospital." I arrived at the hospital. I saw chaos in the ER. My wife and I were whisked away into a room, and at that time I was told that the golf cart that Luke was on landed on top of Luke's chest. He suffered head and chest trauma and was in cardiac arrest for 7 minutes, a far cry from a broken nose. Luke spent 44 days in Lubbock. Day 8 was a day I'll never forget. Luke had 3 brain surgeries all within a few hours. I asked the doctor following the 3rd surgery, "What do you think?" He said to me, "I don't know. But what I do know, it's in God's hands. I don't know if Luke is brain dead." It wasn't until the next day when another doctor came in and asked me if Luke loved music. I said, next to sports, music is his 2nd favorite passion. He began to play the ukulele, and at that time, we saw brain activity on the monitor. Went through a number of surgeries. We then spent 4 months in Fort Worth at Cook Children's Hospital. 5 days after we arrived at Cook Children's, we were in a small room, nurses, therapists. The last person to speak was a neurologist. He said, "I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but based on Luke's MRI, he will never use his limbs, he will never open his eyes, and you will never hear his voice." My wife and I were left consoling each other. Couldn't believe what we heard. A couple of months later, we heard a sound. The eyes were opened. Progress was not good enough, however, and on January 6th, 5 months after the accident, we came home. Luke began to do therapy, occupational therapy, physical therapy, and speech. The family seemed to be adjusting, my 3 daughters, my wife. The one person that was struggling most was me. It took me a few months to realize the fact that my son, who, by the way, was an incredible athlete, 7, 8, 9 years old, all he loved to do was play sports. He loved to practice as much as he loved to play. He and I threw the baseball or the football every single day, rain or shine. On July 8th, when I told Luke that I had resigned from Texas Tech, I told him we're going to do something that we never were able to do before. We're going to go to spring training games. You should have seen the smile on his face. The family was doing okay, I was not. It took me a few months to comprehend the fact that my athlete, my hero, my boy, was never going to be the same. August, 13 months after the accident, I was asked to speak at my children's FCA at their middle school. And that whole night, I spent hours trying to come up with something that would affect and impact my audience, whether they're 8 years old or 80. And by the way, I have that handout that I'm going to share with you. I have that on the side. I'd love for you to take that with you. So I came up with what's called Inspirations from Luke. Number 1, find your passion. I lost almost all my passion to live. Nobody was more passionate about life, about sports, about faith, and about family than I was. But I was struggling. Find your passion. Well, I've regained my passion slowly but surely, because 3 years ago, January of 2018, 3 years after the accident, I started the Team Luke Hope for Minds nonprofit. Our nonprofit supports children after brain injury. In just 4 months of this year, we have granted over $150,000 to families in 29 states. We will hit over $500,000. We support families with children who suffered brain injury from a car accident, non-fatal drowning. In just the last 3 weeks, we've had 15 applications. Boating accident, car accidents, skiing accidents, accidents like my son. There's nothing more powerful than to give hope to families just like mine. Number 1, find your passion. The second one is simply to don't ever quit. That applies to every one of us every day. Whether we're in sports, whether we're at work, whether we're parents at home, don't ever quit. I wake up next to Luke a few nights every week. And there are days I feel so paralyzed that I'm not sure I can keep going. I look to my right, and I'll never quit because I know my son will never quit. The competitor that he was as a baseball player, he still is today. He is doing what we were told he would never do. Don't ever quit. The third one is to simply lean on friends, family, coaches, counselors, pastors, parents. You see, for the longest time, I leaned on no one. And as a few of you know me very well, that's not who I was. The doorbell would ring, the phone would ring, I didn't want to answer it. But what I've learned is that I need people in my life. Sometimes a simple, hey, how are you? How's your son? It goes a long way. At the same time, what I've learned is when you see someone, whether it's an adult or a child, with his or her head down, hey, you doing okay? It goes a long way. The fourth one is to make good choices. Now, maybe this doesn't apply as much to this group, but it might. Make good choices, be careful. My son was 9 years old on a souped-up, modified, heavier, faster, taller golf cart. He was 9 years old on a city street, unsupervised. To this day, I don't understand why. I didn't know this family owned the golf cart. And what I deal with every day, I hope you don't, and that is anger. Every single day, I do my best to suppress the anger that I have, because it doesn't help anybody. It doesn't help my family. It certainly doesn't help Luke or me. The fifth one is to have faith. Without my faith, I could not stand in front of all of you. I've been speaking for years, for 5 years. The accident happened almost 6 years ago. And I have spoken in front of college teams, companies, students. Have faith. My faith has been tested every single second since July 28th, 2015 at 2 p.m. But I know this, without my faith, I couldn't do this. Without my faith, I couldn't help the families that I help almost every single day. I had a father call me a few weeks ago. His child fell off the tree, head first, has a brain injury. He said, what do I do next? The doctors told me there's no hope. And I said, I will give you hope. And by giving hope to others, it's continued to give me hope. I mentioned the word hope. There's a couple of other words that mean so much more to me today than they've ever meant. One is to inspire. We're on Facebook. Pray for Luke on Facebook is the Facebook page. We have thousands of followers. Everywhere I go in Lubbock, Texas, home of the Texas Tech Red Raiders, everywhere I go, someone tells me, I'm praying for you. I follow your story. I had someone, I mentioned this last night. I was walking along the street with my son. Walking has now replaced throwing the football or throwing the baseball. I walk with Luke miles every single day. The bond that we have is different, but it's still strong. I was walking along, a father gets out of his truck. He says, I want you to know something. You've changed the way I parent my son. Nothing more powerful than that. That happens to me almost every day. Luke has inspired so many people. The greatest irony is that 2 months before the accident, I saw my son Luke at recess, just before the end of his 3rd grade. And I was so impressed with the way he was with his peers, with his friends. And I told my wife that my son, our son, is going to impact so many more people than we ever realize. I guess he's doing that, not the way I intended. He's inspired so many people. He's also made a tremendous impact on so many people. But not only has Luke made an impact, there are others that have impacted him. I want to share 2 quick stories with you, though, that I think will tell you something that's so powerful. I wrote a book called It's in God's Hands. The reason the title of the book is In God's Hands, because the doctor told me, I don't know if Luke is brain dead, but what I do know, it's in God's hands. 13 months after the accident, I was driving around aimlessly in Lubbock. I don't know if I'm embarrassed to say this or not, but if Lubbock were hilly, I'm not sure if I would have driven off the hill. I ended up at a parking lot in a grocery store a half a mile from the accident. I never wanted to be near that grocery store. I have no idea to this day why I ended up there. But I parked far from everybody. Nobody knew I was there. I had my head down on the wheel. I was startled by a knock on the window. The gentleman says, "Hey, I'm praying for you, 1 foot in front of the other." And then he walked away. What a cliche, but how real. 1 foot in front of the other. Every day my goal is to put 1 foot in front of the other. So often I think about the past going back, or I worry about the future, and I'm doing all I can to put 1 foot in front of the other and to live today. 1 foot in front of the other. The second one is that my daughter was an amazing basketball player. We were in Arlington, Texas, in a gym. And I was, just like I am now, with Luke in his wheelchair. I've never had anyone walk right past us without at least acknowledging us. A sympathetic hello. Can I pray for your son? Are you doing okay? This woman walked right past us, head down, didn't even look at us. She turns 5 feet after and says, "I want you to know you were chosen for this." And she walked away. Didn't tell me her name. You were chosen for this. I wrote about this, and maybe my days as a professional tennis player, maybe my days as a tennis coach have prepared me for what at times seems unbearable, that maybe I was chosen for this. I mentioned the word impact. Luke has impacted so many, but there are so many that to this day continue to impact Luke. Now, being in Atlanta is interesting because nobody is a bigger New Orleans Saints fan than I am. I apologize. Nobody despises the Atlanta Falcons more than I do, because my son and I lived and breathed the New Orleans Saints. I grew up in New Orleans. A week after the accident, I called the Saints. I need Luke's hero to send Luke a video. 2 weeks later, I get a video from number 9, Drew Brees. You may not love the Saints, but after tonight, you will appreciate Drew Brees. Drew Brees said, "Luke, I heard your story. I'm praying for you. I can't wait for you to be at a Saints game one day." Luke and I made a pact that we were going to a Saints game the rest of our lives. We made it to 3. We missed in 2015. But in 2016, we flew to New Orleans. Practice ends. Drew Brees comes up. "Hey, Luke, I'm going to throw you a ball one day." 2017, same thing. Drew Brees had Luke in the end zone. He threw a pass to Luke's friend, who handed it to Luke. He did what he said. He threw a pass to Luke. He came up to Luke and said, "Luke, after we beat the Bears, I'm going to get you the game ball." I watched Drew Brees walk off the field with his ball handed above his head. That ball is sitting in our living room. Since that time, we have been to 6 or 7 Saints games. Drew Brees has been to Drew Brees has been to Lubbock, Texas, to do an event for us. Our nonprofit supports children, and in 3 years, we are doing more than I could ever have imagined. We are unfortunately and fortunately so well known. Our money comes from events that we have. Drew Brees came to Lubbock, and before he came to the event, he came to our house. Spent an hour. I asked him, what is it like to come to someone's house, and in that room is nothing but pictures of you? Drew Brees is Luke's hero. I said something to Drew Brees that may not be true. I said, next to nurses and therapists, you are the most important person in Luke's life. The reason why I'm not sure if it's true, I think he's the most important person in Luke's life. Because when Luke is engaged and his eyes are open, but the therapists want more out of him, they'll turn on a Saints video, or they'll turn on a video of Drew Brees, and suddenly his eyes get wider. We have one form of communication. About 3 years ago, I said, Luke, move your tongue if you think the Saints are going to win today. Began to move his tongue. I said, Luke, do you hate the Dallas Cowboys? He moved his tongue. Luke, do you love Dad's favorite, Bruce Springsteen? He did not move his tongue. Move your tongue if you love Ed Sheeran, your favorite. He moved his tongue. To this day, Luke makes sounds. When he's in pain or when he's trying to tell me something, Luke, does your tummy hurt? He'll move his tongue. We're communicating. We watch games the way we used to. Baseball, football, basketball. I don't get the same response, but I know he's there. I've said this to many people. Imagine you understand me, you hear me. I'm not sure how well you see me, but you can't respond to me. You're trapped in your body. That's Luke. Luke is and will continue to get better because of the therapists, the nurses, and the love that he receives every single day. There's somebody else you might know, a guy by the name of Patrick Mahomes. He was the quarterback at Texas Tech. Luke used to watch Patrick Mahomes practice with me when he was 7, 8 years old. Patrick Mahomes has never played a football game for the Kansas City Chiefs. And when you watch Patrick Mahomes in his 55 commercials from State Farm and whatever else, you will see this Team Luke Hope for Minds bracelet. He has never played a game without this bracelet. A few years ago, he wore on the My Cause, My Cleats 1 week a year in the NFL, he wore Team Luke Hope for Minds on his cleats. He just texted me last night, I'm going to see him in Kansas City with Luke. He's another one that continues to make an impact on Luke. Elvis Andrews was the shortstop of the Texas Rangers. We visited Elvis. Elvis visited us. Just last year, I asked Elvis something that I didn't think he would even respond to. I said, would you do me a favor? Would you donate a dollar amount for every hit you get? 1 minute later, how about $100 a hit? Now, normally that's about 20 grand. Unfortunately, we had a shortened season. He was injured and only batted about 180 that year. But I'll tell you this, Elvis Andrews is impacting my son. He's with the Oakland A's today, but we still talk about Elvis Andrews. I played tennis many years ago. I'm still friends with a lot of tennis players. We've had tennis events. Andre Agassi, Andy Roddick, John Isner came to Arkansas to do an event for us. We've received videos Roger Federer, Rafael Nadal, Novak Djokovic has sent videos, hey Luke, I'm praying for you, keep fighting. And what's amazing is, I spoke to the Texas Tech football team a month ago. I walk into that big room, and I wheel Luke in, and I hear, Luke! And at that time, I realized something, that I wanted my football team to fight like Luke. Those Texas Tech football players now have a shirt with Team Luke Hofer Mines on the front and Fight Like Luke on the back. I have a couple of mottos. One foot in front of the other. Fight like Luke. I hope that tonight will make you think about what you all have. Every family in America has something. Whether it's trauma, children not doing what they should be doing, work-related, certainly in the last year. And what you all are dealing with is no different from what I'm dealing with. It's on your heart, it's on your mind. But maybe tonight will make you realize not to take things for granted, to appreciate what you have, and more importantly for the fathers in this room, to love your children, to listen to your children, to be there for your children. The greatest irony is that I left Texas Tech to spend more time with my children, and 20 days later, the accident happened. And in many ways, I've spent less time with my children because I have 2 teenage daughters that have seen their father a lot, but maybe I'm not as there emotionally as much as I could be. My son Luke is my hero. Drew Brees is Luke's hero, but my son is my hero. And I want you, and I'm not sure if we're going to be able to see this or hear this today, but I want you all to know something. That if you go to YouTube and you put in Luke Siegel, you will see videos. We're about to show you a video that was on Fox Sports Southwest that actually won a regional Emmy. December 20th, Tom Rinaldi did a story on us, the day that the Saints hosted the Chiefs. Please tonight go to YouTube and watch that ESPN story. It's about the Saints, it's about Drew Brees, it's about my son and the love that I have for my son. At this time, I would like to show the video that was on Fox.
In August of 2015, I was asked to send a video to lift the spirits of a little boy from Lubbock, Texas, who had been seriously injured in a golf cart accident. Little did I know, that would lead to so much more.
To the home of our football champions,
and
New Orleans.
We watched the Saints and we watched the video of the Saints.
And what do we say?
But I didn't watch them.
Say, who dat?
Who dat?
I was a great little athlete, and one thing that we did every single day, we never missed a day of throwing the baseball or the football. That's what we did every day. And that's certainly something that I miss so much. On July 28th, 2015, I received a phone call around 2 p.m. That Luke had been in a golf cart accident. Luke had suffered head and chest trauma, and that he'd been in cardiac arrest for 7 minutes.
Get up. Keep it up. Come on, buddy. That's Papa Boy. Do it for the Red Raiders.
Keep it
Do it
going.
for Texas Tech. Good, Luke.
To see the kind of fighter it inspires all of us, players and coaches alike. He's got a warrior mentality, and he's not giving up. He continues to inspire us, and whether it's by his presence at a practice or our spring game or around the complex.
What's up, buddy? How you doing?
Hey, Luke.
Doing good?
What's here, buddy?
We're praying for you, buddy. Hope everything goes well.
Thank you so
See
much.
you.
You too.
Yes, sir.
The Siegel family and Luke mean everything to us. There's no comparison. Luke has done so much for me and our team, so much more.
The toughest person I know and I've ever met is Luke Siegel. And this is his dad, Tim, right here.
He's the toughest guy I've ever known, period. Each day he defies all odds. He proves so-called experts wrong. He's just an inspiration to all of us.
Maybe the most special thing that ever happened to Luke was that Drew Brees threw a pass in the end zone to one of Luke's good friends, who handed it to Luke.
Luke has inspired me in so many ways. Not only that, but his family and the way that the community has rallied around him.
I think about you all the time, man. Your dad keeps me up to date with everything you're doing.
You can feel the love of a father for his son. You can feel the love of a family for their son. You can feel the love of a community for one of their own.
Hey, Luke, how you doing? Yeah, what's up, buddy? Yeah, what's up?
We're so blessed to have been touched by so many. Drew Brees is and will always be Luke's hero. Elvis Andrews is Luke's favorite baseball player.
How you doing, my man? You doing good?
You know, Patrick Mahomes, what he did for us this past season to have Team Luke Hope for Minds on his cleats and helped us raise a lot of money. I can go on and on and on, but those athletes mean so much to us, and we're so appreciative.
Hi, Luke. This is Andre Agassi, and I just want you to know that I am praying for you and your strength.
Hey, Luke, Jim Kelly here. Just want to let you know that I'm thinking about you. I'm praying for you.
Hey, Luke. Coach Kingsbury with the Arizona Cardinals. Just wanted to tell you we're all praying for you.
Hey, Luke, it's Roger here. I just wanted to let you know that you have to stay strong, and I'm behind you.
Luke, are you Daddy's boy? Are you Daddy's boy? There you go.
Each and every opportunity that I see those videos, it puts a smile on my face because it just lets me know the power of the human spirit and the power of a team and a support system around someone.
See those eyes? That's my boy.
So many people at Texas Tech and all around the country have been so supportive of us. What I would ask all of you to do is go to teamlukehopeforminds.org, our website. Learn more about what we do. It's powerful, it's important. At this time, I would like to open up if any of you have any questions. An incredible question. What is the process of forgiving the family? And the reason why that question is amazing is because I have that handout that says 5 inspirations from Luke, but I've added a 6th, and I forgot to mention the 6th. The 6th is forgiveness. Whether your friend or your daughter's friend needed to forgive something because someone said something, I'm working on that. The truth is, it's not easy. It's not easy to forgive in this situation. But I know this, that it doesn't help me to have someone live in my head. It doesn't help me to have someone occupy sadness or anger. And so what I've realized is that my goal in life is to focus on Luke and how we get better, not on what has happened to us. So the question is, in college tennis, why does nobody serve and volley? I would love to know the answer. Well, I do know the answer. Because doubles is not practiced, doubles is not taught, doubles is not coached, and unfortunately, doubles doesn't make a whole lot of money. Now, I played doubles on the tour. My 3 years on the tour was playing doubles. I played against Yvonne Lendl and Stefan Edberg and John McEnroe. I played in Wimbledon and the US Open and all those Grand Slams, but only in doubles. And at that time, everybody in the world, the top players, played both singles and doubles. Today, they serve and stay back, and the top guys don't play. So I'll tell you this, I could still make it at 57 years old in doubles, I can tell you that. Right, Dan? Yes, sir. The question is, basically, how is our family, how are we dealing with it? Is there a higher purpose for us? You know, it's interesting because I was always a man of faith, always. But my faith, at some point, took a turn. But if anything, it's actually higher than it's ever been. And the commitment that I've made to myself in the last 6 years, A, get in better shape. Because the better shape I'm in, better opportunity is for me to take care of my son. My heart rate was up for 5 months looking at monitors every single day. Recently, I've been getting my heart rate up, doing more exercising. I've been going to church regularly. I've been seeing someone to talk to every week. So all these things have made me more accountable because the discipline that I used to have as a tennis player and as a tennis coach was gone, but it's coming back. And I certainly attribute so much of this to my faith. To A, that I believe that Luke is going to get better. B, that I have the faith that I can help others. And C, and most importantly, is that God is helping me survive the pain that I feel every day. I have pain that sits in my stomach and sometimes comes up to my throat. The greatest thing about being in Atlanta or in a city other than Lubbock is that I don't have triggers. There's not a baseball field. There's not Luke's friends. There's not a father and son playing catch that makes me think about what happened to Luke. But at the same time, when I'm on that plane tomorrow, I can't wait to be home at 3 o'clock to hold my son. Last night was amazing. I get home from dinner, I'm in the hotel, and I'm FaceTiming with the nurse. And I said, "Hey, Luke, I'm in Atlanta. I'll see you in 2 days. Can I see a smile?" And there was a smile. That will be like for you all winning the lottery. I got a smile from my son. The question is, how are my wife and I doing? And that is certainly something that we work on every day, because I knew from the very beginning that when situations like this happen, that it affects a marriage. And the greatest challenge is that I want to be with Luke 24/7. My wife handles it in a different way. She needs sometimes to escape because it's so difficult. I want to be the coach at therapy. I want to coach Luke up. My wife wants to hear about how therapy goes. The last couple of months have been the greatest challenge in the last 6 years of our marriage. July 7th, we'll be married 20 years. But I know this, that my wife is the rock of the family. My wife and I, at some point, I don't know when that is, will have a stronger marriage than we ever have. But each of us deals with anger, sadness, being overwhelmed at different times. I don't know that I have a great answer, but what I do know is that my wife and I work on it every single day, because there's nothing more important to us than our marriage. Because when my wife and I are doing well, we're doing better for our daughters, and certainly doing better for our son. Yes, sir. The question is, how would I suggest helping fathers deal with things that I'm dealing with this tragedy? I left Texas Tech because I loved being a father. Sometimes when our team was on the road, win or lose, I could not wait to get back home. I was blessed and am blessed to have 4 children, all 4 athletes: tennis player, volleyball, cheerleader, basketball, and baseball. And there's nothing I love more than being a father. And I'm always amazed, and still to this day, I'm amazed when I talk to someone whose focus is so much more on his job, on his career, on what he's going to make. What I will tell you, those of you that have children that are very young, I don't have to tell you how quickly it goes. My good friend Dan here has 3 teenagers. It flies by. I always made sure I had time for my children. Practice was over, I was home with my children. And it wasn't just to throw the ball. It was to find out who their friends are, to be involved. There's nothing more important than being an involved father. I think in order to deal with what I'm dealing with, it takes 2 things: faith and a loving, supporting wife. And the third one is what I see in front of all of you, and that's friends. As I mentioned earlier, I wanted to escape friends. Now I need them in my life. a text message from someone that says, "How's Luke? I'm praying for your son." It gives me comfort because God knows I need to be comforted. The question is, what do I pray for when I pray? I think number one is I pray for strength. Now, one thing I will tell you is that everyone in this room has more in the tank than you realize. That you're stronger than you realize. But for me, if you had told me 6 years ago that what I'm doing right now, I would never have believed it. And I do believe that God has given me the strength to not only take care of my son, to be his primary caregiver, but to have the strength and the fortitude to help families all over the country. I pray for strength. I also pray for my daughters, because my daughters, especially my teenage daughters, for the last 5-6 years, have a brother in a different room who they can't talk to the same way. I pray for my daughters. I pray for my wife. I also pray for Luke's friends, that Luke's friends continue to stay in Luke's life. I talk to Luke about his friends. I talk to Luke about the saints. I talk to Luke about things like I always have. But one thing I do know is I will never stop praying. The question is, and I hear this a lot, I don't know what to say to you. I don't know how to act to you. I don't know when I see you, what am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to say? When I'm with Luke, whether it's at a grocery store, at a ball game, and I see people, I look at them differently now. I know they're thinking, can I approach Tim? What do I say? Sometimes the easiest and the most comforting is, I want you to know that I pray for Luke every day. I want you to know that you're in my heart every single day. My book, It's in God's Hands, was written for people like you, to give hope, to help you through situations, not just for someone who has had a brain injury. And I ask you, I hope I have enough copies for everybody, and I certainly hope I do. But if not, that book is on Amazon. Please share that. What I really want all of you to do, and then I would like to wrap it up with this. My goal is to be able to help every single family that needs our help. We help through financial assistance, education, support groups. But my goal is to have each one of you bring awareness to our nonprofit, to go to Facebook, Pray for Luke, to go to Instagram, to Twitter, and to follow our story. Because there are 2 reasons why my son is improving. And I will finish with these 2. Number 1, he's a fighter. My son is a fighter. And number 2 is because every one of you in this room and everybody in the rest of the country that are and will continue to pray for Luke. I wrote this down. I was in the hospital and someone said to me, "Hey, when is Luke's birthday?" I said, "Luke was born on 4/18, April 18. I'll never forget this. He was in intensive care. I Googled Luke 4:18 in the Bible. What I'm about to tell you, I hope, if there's one thing that you remember, it's this. Luke 4:18 in the Bible says, "The Spirit of the Lord is upon me and has anointed me to spread good to the poor." Luke has been anointed to spread good to the poor. Incredible.
Let's give him one more hand, guys.